friends, welcome back to my channel. We're going to start a discussion video. I want to chat about the books that I have read kind of as soon as I finish reading them, because I want to start returning books to the library. My library checkouts is getting a little overwhelming. So the book that I have read recently is concerning my daughter, translated from the Korean. So the author is Kim. That's it. That's the author's name right there, and I don't want to mispronounce it, so I'll put it here for just in case you can't read it from there. Translated from the Korean by Jamie Chang. I just want to thank Britta for finding this book, because this is one of the first books that I'm reading from the list that I called from Britta's 1001 books that she wants to read while she's alive. So I called 10 books from Britta's 1001 books, and this is the first one that I'm reading this year, so thank you, Britta. And one of the things that I really love about this book is that it is a universal subject, and there's nothing in the book to really anchor it to a setting. So I don't think any towns or cities are mentioned by name in this book, because this is a story that could happen almost anywhere. Like, it could happen in the United States, it could happen in Jamaica, it could happen in Korea, I guess, as it did. So the story follows a woman who's in her 70s, and she works as a caregiver at a nursing home, and she's also gotten into a situation where she is living with her adult daughter. And so the person that she's caring for in the nursing home is a woman who has dementia. She's an older woman and she has dementia, and so even though she's older than her main character, she calls her mama. And then of course the daughter, does her daughter call her mama? So we have this woman in the middle, and the two generations that are surrounding her, the older generation and the younger generation, and her relationship with those people who represent those generations. So the title is really appropriate, Concerning My Daughter. But I love that we get a lot of introspection. There's a lot that happens in the book, but it's more a quiet study of what it means to be buffeted by different thought processes and be almost forced to reckon with how we see life, how we see our place in life, and you know how you live during the active parts of your life, how that impacts your aftercare or what happens later. So there's some really beautiful moments in this book, moments where someone kind of reaches in and pulls someone towards warmth and sentimentality. We see kind of people living in austere circumstances where they're just they're focusing on their physical needs, but then someone comes in and almost forces emotional connection on them. So there's a lot about this book that I really enjoy, and just want to recommend this book to you as well. There's a lot that I really enjoyed about this book. I love how the writing is pretty sparse. The book itself is pretty small. It's 162 pages, and the book physical copy is also small. So you know, it's one of those books that you could probably read pretty quickly, except that the subject matter and the writing style almost forces you to sit and ponder what you are reading. So I love how there's no traditional punctuation in the book. It's written in just like standard prose, but you have to kind of think about whether the author is writing dialogue happening between two people, or it's more internal monologue, because this woman, the 70-something-year-old woman, and she doesn't have, her name is not mentioned here. We get names of other characters as they relate to her, but her name is not mentioned. We know she is widowed, we know she is a 70-something-year-old woman, but yeah, we don't know her name, and I guess it adds to that universality of this story. So yeah, really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed listening in on this woman's thoughts, the thoughts that she has and the thoughts that she allows herself to put out into the world. You know, she's raised in a very traditional way. She sees herself in a very conservative way. She's one of those people who doesn't want too many outside people to know what's going on with her. So she also doesn't allow people into her thoughts sometimes. So she's grown up kind of learning how to, it's not necessarily repression, but it's more of controlling what she says. And as she is having to reckon with the younger generation who doesn't do that, as well as the older, maybe ailing generation, like demented patients don't care don't care what you what you have to say. They're just going to tell you what they think, right? Or, you know, if you've been around people with dementia, you know that it's almost like they're unfiltered. And so she's at this place in her life where she's kind of thinking about whether living that filtered life, whether it merits anything. So I love the introspection, but I also love how the main character, how she grows over time. And yeah, her changes are really great. You know, this 70-something-year-old woman who's processing her life as she lives it, processing what end-of-life care means because of what is happening with her at her job and what's happening with the person that she's caring for. And it's a lot about reconciling how you live and how that impacts your end of life care, whether people will come and actually take care of you and how they will feel about you and all of that. So there's a lot in this book to reflect on, just about where we are in life and our relationships with others. It deals with some really interesting themes and subjects as we see this older woman kind of thinking about how she's lived her life and how she's raised her daughter, and how whether or not she made mistakes along the way, and how those mistakes are kind of coming back to bite her as she's now the parent to an adult child, and kind of thinking, you know, did I cause this? Did I create this situation? So really fun to think about. But the book itself is a serious read. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. So thank you, Britta, for putting this on my radar. I don't want to tell you too much more about the book. There's a lot that happens that I won't mention because I'd like for you to read the book yourself. So got this from the library, going to return it now, and maybe so you can get a copy. So yeah, Concerning My Daughter, translated from the Korean, and this is the author's name, and the translator is Jamie Chang. So highly recommend this one if you're looking for something new to pick up.